copy of it. I got the whole thing printed off right here.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Okay, Madam Mayor, just starting the live stream back up again for part 3 of the meeting. I believe you
Okay,
can
great.
start at your convenience.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we are going to go back to staff reports number C, and it's the fire emergency report, activity report. And I have a motion moved by Brent Cameron and seconded by Sherry Wan that council received the CFFR activity report dated January 25, 2022 for information. Any questions or comments for Chris or Jamie? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Motion's carried.
To put his camera on now.
All right,
There he is. Got it all. Get his camera.
all right. I have a motion moved by Bill McDonald, seconded by Victor Hayes, that council accept the community risk assessment and fire master plan report as prepared by the fire chief and deputy fire chief. And whereas Lomax Group has completed a substantial amount of work for CFFR previously and has experience and knowledge of the operations of CFFR. And whereas the deputy and fire chief, along with the CAO clerk, are recommending that Lumix Group be hired to complete the community risk assessment and master fire plan for the municipality. Now, therefore, be it resolved that council approve the recommendation of staff to sole source Lumix Group to complete the community risk assessment and the master fire plan for the Township of Central Frontenac. Discussion. Tom, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Chris, on the report, under last paragraph, section B, under technical rescues, I'm wondering what's included in that, and does that include cold water rescue?
Yes, so technical rescue would deal with ice water, water rescue, confined space, all those special technical things that we do, we train for. So special operations is what we call it. So they are included in that. Probably one of the recommendations will come out of this is that we redo our bylaw, or in our bylaw, to explain all the different services that we provide.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Nikki, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I have a few questions. Lomax has done this, a lot of this work is said in the report, and they have also provided us with a master fire plan. And Chris comes to us from Lomax, so he knows this work. So is there a way that instead of spending this money, the fire chief can actually just go over and update what Lomax has already provided? Also, what is our, I thought our procedure was anything over 15,000 needed to go to an RFP. And also the optics don't kind of look really good with just awarding it with where the fire chief has come from. So I'm a little concerned about that.
Okay. I think the procurement bylaw is 50,000. Kathy, where are you? What is the procurement
right
bylaw?
here. Can see me? Yes, I have a copy of it that we do have the authority because they are a vendor of record. It's a little different under the procurement. So they are a vendor of record. They have done a fair amount of the work, and they have not prepared the fire master plan. There has not been one done yet. They were working, Terry Gervais was working with Jamie prior to even Chris coming on board with us, is looking at fire master plan as well as risk assessments, but the work has not been officially done at that point. So, but it does allow us, if the mayor and I can, anything over greater than 50,000, then we can go ahead and do that purchase under the procurement bylaw. in regards to costing, and certainly, and I mean, Chris can certainly speak to it a little bit further. Chris did not work for Lumex. Chris was actually, when he retired as the chief in Central Elgin, Terry Gervais asked him to do some work with them and for them in regard to writing. It's dealing with writing. It's got no conflict whatsoever with our municipality. He's not the only chief that that helps out in Lumex. So it's not just himself, but he can explain that a little bit further. But it's more dealing with writing legislation stuff. And I think to other municipalities, nothing to do with our municipality whatsoever. So there wouldn't be any kind of conflict. So I don't know if that answers your questions, and I can have Chief, he can mention a little bit further, or Jamie, because Jamie has worked with Terry, so he knows what kind of work they have already started. So it's just
maybe Jamie can tell us what
All right.
work has been done.
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. So some of the work that I was looking at when I moved into the acting role was completing at that time what was called a simplified risk assessment and station location study. And I did work with Terry from Lumex just to help with answering some questions and getting the information through our GIS and to start building it. It was when the province announced the community risk assessment and the details around it is when we stopped and said, okay, let's wait, because that's a whole big picture. And that once we have that completed, then the information that we get from that will help us fill in our fire master plan. And then from that, our direction from council on our services and what we provide, then we can do our station location studies. So the work that I did with Terry was just more or less, he was pointing me in the right direction, helping me with where to get the information and some guidance as far as the setup of the reports. So we were preliminary, but we do have a lot of good information that will help us going forward with the Lumex group. So.
And Madam
Chris,
Mayor,
would you like to
Madam
go
Mayor, I
on?
just
Yes.
wanted to mention one other thing in regards to authorized persons, which is mostly with the mayor and I, can award contracts on a single source, non-competitive basis to suppliers of specialized goods and or services who are a vendor of record list. So that comes right out of the procurement. So they are a vendor of record, and that will, as long it's being documented by the issuance, and we do it as a purchase order. Okay, so just so that you know that we are following the procurement.
Okay, and maybe Chris can just talk about his relationship with Lumex.
Sure. So through you, Madam Mayor, the CEO is correct that I do contract work with Lumex. So does my wife, actually. But my feeling on this is that, as Jamie has stated, a lot of data has already been collected. Lumex is familiar with the municipality. It makes it so much easier. It cuts down the time drastically for getting the document together. And they're a reputable company. They do excellent work, and they're going to be more than fair with you. And I think your past experience with your emergency plan exercise and other things has proven that Lumex is a great company to have on board. So as far as me for conflict, no, I would rather see it go out than me do it myself, because you want a third party, a different set of eyes, and down the road, 5 years from now, somebody could say, oh, well, that was the fire chief's opinion. No, it's not. It was a third party consultant that did the work. So I think that given the presentation today, we sort of see where we need to go and what we have to do. And I think it was well laid out tonight. So I'm pretty happy with the way that, and I hope that my report explains that too. So.
Okay, so just one follow-up question.
Sure, go ahead, Nikki.
Okay, so I understand the procurement policy. Thank you. I understand that. I understand where the chief's coming from. But to clarify, we received a master fire plan from Chief Robinson that was a work in progress. So I'm kind of a little lost when everyone's saying we didn't have one presented?
No, I think that he was starting to work on, was he not, Jamie?
Yes, so the fire plan that was presented at the time was a work in progress. It wasn't a formal one, and I do not believe the council passed a formal fire master plan. And that was done just after we had the reviews from Lumex with the gap analysis. So I think it was tied in with that. So I think if I do remember correctly, the last fire master plan was 2012.
Yes, I think you're right, Jamie.
Chris, go ahead.
So just to go back to the community risk assessment, as I've explained in the report, it dovetails with the fire master plan, so that the community risk assessment is going to change a lot of things in the fire master plan. It's not going to just look at station locations. It's looking at your risk in the community, your geographics, your demographics, all that. And with the growth that you've had, it's been explained to me in the last couple of council meetings, it's going to change a lot of that information. So the risk assessment, it needs to be current, and that's why they say it has to be revised every 5 years, because that's going to dovetail with your fire master plan. So those are two live documents that the councils are going to be using for years. So the risk assessment, they say can go for 5, but the fire master plan usually is about a 10-year cycle. So you're due for that.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, Bill and then Brent.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, I was going to ask the question that Chris just actually talked on in regard to the risk management and how our population is actually going to change the needs in different areas. But I just have a quick question. I want to follow up also that while I've been on council, we did not pass a fire master plan that I'm aware of. And but Chris, what's the time frame? Are municipalities under some kind of guideline in regard to when we have to have a master plan in place?
No, the risk assessment is 2024. It has to be in place, but the fire master plan is not. There's no time frame on that, but it is recommended that it is dovetailed in with the risk assessment. It supports all the information. It gives council a really good picture of what services they want to provide in the community. And as Councillor Dewey's asked about special operations, as I talked about, like ice water rescue and so on and so forth, and rope rescue and things like that. Those things, are they needed in the community? Well, probably ice water rescue is needed in this community, or water rescue. So, okay, these are things that we have to focus on, and that's brought up in the fire master plan.
Okay, Brent.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. When this conversation came up, I went to my bookshelf and I pulled out a binder. This one, it's got 240 pages in it, and we were calling it a draft fire master plan at the time. And it has a risk assessment dating from March 2018. My concern about this is, yes, it's a draft. So Councillor McDonald is correct. We don't have an official master plan, but we did have a draft, and we did invest a lot of time, energy, and effort in it. My concern is, and taking the point that we're coming close to the 5-year window that you cited, Chief McDonough, but we went through a lot with this, and I get the sense that 240 pages really is null and void right now, and that we're going to start from scratch. And I have some concerns about starting from square one, given the fact that this township did requisition a lot of money to get us to this point, and that the reason it's a draft is because council did not enact all of the recommendations. So I would like to have my concerns addressed, that we're not just starting from square one, and that binder sitting to my left is just null and void.
So Chris, in fact, this binder with the 204 pages would be a beginning point for the work going forward
Absolutely.
after you do risk assessment.
Absolutely, Madam Mayor. Yes, it would definitely help us putting us in the right direction. I think Jamie could speak to that. I wasn't aware of the binder. I'm sorry. But Jamie maybe could speak to that, to the work that's been done so far. But I know that I was made aware that Lumix has done a lot of work for you so far. And that's a bonus for us. I mean, that'll just get our process in place that we can get this thing going. So it's certainly up to council. Like I say, I don't think it's something that fire chiefs should be doing. I think it should be done by an outside party.
And through you, Madam Mayor, if I may, my memory recalls, I was on council at that time. I was a deputy at that point, and the chief at the time was using Lumix Group to assist with the building of the fire master plan and working with the draft report. And then that's where it was left, was just in the draft format, because there were some changes that had to be made and updates. But then again, with the change, I guess, going to now the community risk assessment versus a simplified risk assessment, that does change the optics of the fire master plan as well. Yes, there's a lot of information that's there that will be valuable as we move forward. But some of the work that we've done since then is just to use all that information now as we move forward with the community risk assessment. So I don't think we're going to take that book and just put it off to the side and file it under G. I think there's going to be information out of that we can retain and move forward with. So.
Good. So it's not wasted. Okay. No. Anything else?
Okay.
Tom.
Yeah. Thank you, Your Worship.
Oh, sorry, Tom, and then Philip.
Yeah. Thank you, Worship. Chris, after all this is done tonight, what is our next step going forward in this process? Everything, say this gets approved, what's our next step going forward?
So the information that's already Lumix has, if Lumix is approved to do this, to go forward, the data that we have in place here now, they'll take that, and then any additional information that they need, we will provide that for them, and through our records management. And then they will be doing their geographical tour, I guess, of the municipality, and make comments to that and find out, our vulnerable occupancies, where they are, our transportation, any threats there, and so on and so forth. Then all that is put into a matrix and a report comes out of that. And it's fairly extensive. It takes some time, but and it also look at, as I said, our demographics as well, and the changes that we're getting in our growth in our in the community here. And then it's put together. Once that's completed, then it dovetails in, as I've said several times, to the fire master plan. That's where that goes. So that's where it starts. Is the data collection is where the beginning is now, Tom.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, Philip.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The one concern I guess I had is, $30,000 is a lot of money, and even though we have the authority to do it up to $50,000, I guess, why, for that amount of money, why wouldn't we have looked to see what other options are available aside from sole sourcing it? Councillor Gowdy's point of perceived conflict, although there may be none, you have to remember that we're in a small municipality, so it won't be long for everybody to know that you have done work for Loomis, and it will become an issue pretty fast from my point of view. But I think it would have been different if you had gotten even quotes or proposals from other companies to present comparable to what Loomis would provide, and then with the explanation of Loomis can do it for cheaper because of their history with us. That would have been helpful in making the decision.
Okay. Mind you, the option is if you request quotes, the price could also go up. There's always that risk.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, any other discussion? Good discussion. And I think some good points on both sides. We need to deal with the motion. We either need to approve this, or if we don't approve it, then we would have to look at how we're going to source out the work. But the work does need to get done. So I will ask the question. All those in favor of the motion to hire Lumex, as we have spoken about, to do the fire master plan and the risk assessment. Okay, hands up. 1, 2, 3,
Cindy's got
4,
hers up. And Sherry's got her hand up, if you see.
5, and opposed.
1, 2, 3,
1,
4.
2, 3 opposed. So the motion's carried.
Or Cindy.
4. There was 4,
opposed.
Madam Mayor.
Sorry, 4. So the motion's carried 5-4. Okay, good discussion. I think that is everything to come before council tonight, and that's a good thing. It's 12 after 6. Is there any other business to come before council?
None, Madam Mayor.
Seeing none, let's have dinner. I have a motion moved by Cindy Kelsey and seconded by Philip Smith that bylaw 2022-07 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular council meeting held January 25th, 2022, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 25th day of January 2022. And further, that this meeting be adjourned until 4 p.m. Tuesday, February the 8th, 2022, said meeting to be held virtually. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Adjournment at 6:13.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Night, everybody.